Procrastination. Procrastination means putting off tasks that need to be done. It usually happens when a task feels overwhelming or uncertain. The brain looks for quick relief in distractions, like checking the phone or doing smaller chores. This creates a brief sense of control, but leads to stress as deadlines approach. Over time, it becomes habitual, turning short-term comfort into long-term pressure that reduces productivity and confidence as you realize you can't rely on yourself. Overthinking. Overthinking is the habit of analyzing situations long after it's useful. It often comes from fear of making mistakes or wanting to control every outcome. The mind replays conversations, decisions, or possible futures, searching for certainty that never comes. Instead of solving problems, it creates new ones through doubt and exhaustion. Overthinking gives the illusion of control but ends up blocking action and peace of mind. Perfectionism. Perfectionism is the belief that everything must be flawless before it's finished. It often begins as a desire to do well, but grows into fear of making mistakes and an excuse to delay finishing anything since you feel like it's never good enough. Perfectionists set impossible standards and criticize themselves when they fall short. This constant pressure can cause anxiety, burnout, and hesitation to start new things. Fear of success. Fear of success is the tendency to hold yourself back when things start going well. It comes from believing that success will bring pressure, jealousy, or expectations you can't handle. Some people sabotage progress to stay in familiar territory, where failure feels safer than change. This habit hides behind excuses like bad timing, not ready yet. In reality, it's the fear of losing comfort once growth begins. Chronic negativity. Chronic negativity is the habit of approaching situations with doubt and the expectation of failure. It often develops as a defense mechanism to avoid disappointment. Over time, this mindset trains the brain to expect defeat, even when things are going well. Constant pessimism drains motivation and makes neutral events feel hostile, blocking out anything positive. Catastrophizing. Catastrophizing is when the mind exaggerates problems and imagines the worst possible outcome. A small setback quickly becomes a full disaster in your thoughts. This habit usually comes from anxiety and the need to feel prepared for danger. The brain mistakes worst-case scenarios for reality, triggering real stress over things that haven't happened. Over time, catastrophizing creates a constant sense of danger, making ordinary challenges feel threatening and exhausting. Denial. Denial is the habit of rejecting facts that threaten your sense of safety or pride. Someone might ignore their mounting debt, dismiss health symptoms, or pretend a relationship isn't falling apart. By refusing to see the truth, denial creates a false sense of peace, while real problems quietly grow. What feels like protection in the moment becomes destruction in the long run, as reality always catches up. Blame shifting. Blame shifting is the act of refusing to take accountability for one's own shortcomings. It often comes from insecurity and the fear of appearing weak or wrong. A person might say, "It's not my fault, it's because of this or that," therefore avoiding the discomfort of responsibility. While it can protect your ego in the moment, it stunts growth and damages relationships over time. Constant self-doubt. Constant self-doubt is the habit of questioning every action, choice, and opinion you have. It comes from a fear of being wrong or judged, often shaped by past criticism or failure. This uncertainty makes decisions feel dangerous and progress impossible. After some time, constant self-doubt replaces confidence with hesitation, turning potential into paralysis. Endless comparison. Endless comparison is the urge to constantly measure your life against other people's. It starts as curiosity, but quickly becomes unhealthy competition, fueled by insecurity and social pressure. You focus on what others have instead of what you've built, turning success into a moving target. In the long run, this habit destroys gratitude and makes even significant personal achievements feel negligible. The more you compare, the harder it becomes to recognize your own worth. People-pleasing. People-pleasing is the habit of putting others' needs ahead of your own to earn approval or avoid conflict. It starts with the belief that kindness guarantees acceptance. You say yes when you want to say no, apologize for things that aren't your fault, and shrink to keep others comfortable. What looks like generosity is often the fear of rejection or disapproval. Shame. Shame is the deep sense of being inadequate or exposed. It often starts early, shaped by criticism, failure, or unmet expectations. Instead of seeing mistakes as lessons, shame turns them into proof of personal weakness. It creates distance from others, replacing openness with self-consciousness. When it takes hold, even small flaws feel like confirmation that you're less than who you should be. Guilt. Guilt is the feeling of responsibility for harm or mistakes, whether real or imagined. The mind replays moments of regret, searching for a way to undo them. Sometimes the guilt is justified, but often it grows from unrealistic expectations or misplaced self-blame. You start to feel accountable for outcomes you couldn't control, confusing care with fault. Over time, guilt stops being a guide for change, but becomes a trap that keeps you tied to the past. Victimhood. Victimhood is the habit of taking comfort in feeling powerless, as if being at the mercy of bad luck justifies your failures. It often begins after real suffering, but slowly turns into a way of seeing yourself, and setback becomes evidence that life is unfair. This mindset offers safety through sympathy, but steals the belief that you can change. The more you cling to it, the more helplessness starts to feel like home. Addiction. Addiction is the repeated search for relief in something external, which then becomes a cause of harm. It often starts with something that provides comfort, such as alcohol, food, gambling, or online activity, but ends with a loss of control as you need more and more of the same thing to feel the same thrill as before. The brain adapts to crave short bursts of pleasure, even when they cause long-term harm. What once provided balance begins to dominate thought and behavior, trapping people in a cycle of dependence and decline. Chronic busyness. Chronic busyness is the state of being constantly occupied to avoid stillness or reflection. It gives the appearance of productivity, but often hides a deep fear of stasis. Schedules fill with tasks that feel urgent and important, yet aren't, creating a sense of motion without actually progressing towards anything. The constant activity numbs anxiety in the short term, while draining focus and creativity over time. It's a socially acceptable way of distracting your mind to avoid having painful introspection. Isolation. Isolation often begins with a natural desire for quiet or space. Gradually, though, distance can become routine, and reconnecting starts to feel difficult. Conversations take more effort, and being alone starts to feel easier than being understood. With time, this separation limits connection and support, two things essential for mental stability. Emotional numbing. Emotional numbing is the process of shutting down feelings to avoid pain. It often develops after prolonged stress, trauma, or disappointment. When the feelings become unbearable, the mind dulls both extremes, sorrow and joy, creating a muted version of life that feels safer yet emptier. You stop reacting, stop caring, and start drifting through moments instead of living them. Emotional numbing removes the capacity to feel anything deeply, including happiness. If you liked this video, make sure to watch these too and hit subscribe so you don't miss the next.